Good evening. It's 6 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We'll begin with an invocation led by Councilmember Grant, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Honeycutt. Please rise as you're able.
Tonight, let us gather with open minds and open hearts in a time where this country feels divided by politics, race, class, and ideology. Let us remember that our duty is not to deepen those divisions, but to rise above them. There are communities across the nation that feel unheard, unseen, despite the same people who have helped build this country, fought for this country, and continue to believe in its mission. We cannot ignore these truths. We should not follow growing the culture of division in silence. Instead, let the city of Knoxville lead by example. Let us come together, no matter status, no matter background, but as people first. Let us align ourselves back with humanity and commit to progress, not through words, but through policy, action, and accountability. May tonight's decision reflect wisdom, compassion, and the courage to build a stronger, healthier future for the next generation. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Ms. Hopper, would you please call roll?
Councilwoman Adams.
Here.
Councilman DeBartoleben.
Here.
Vice Mayor Fugit.
Here.
Councilman Grant.
Here.
Councilwoman Helsley.
Here.
Councilman Honeycutt.
Here.
Councilman Lloyd.
Here.
Councilwoman Parker.
Here.
Councilman Thomas.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion on the minutes of the April 23rd workshop? Okay, motion made and seconded. Any questions or discussions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion on the minutes of the April 28th meeting? Okay, motion made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Are there any items to be withdrawn from tonight's agenda? Are there any items to be postponed on tonight's agenda? Okay. Are there any items to be added by motion? Okay. There are no memorials or honorary resolutions tonight. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Mayor, I plan on voting on the consent items, but I did want to raise that on item 10D. I serve on the IAMS Nature Center board, and it's a volunteer position. I don't receive anything for that and haven't been involved in the grant selection process. So I do plan on voting on the consent, but just wanted to make note of that.
Duly noted. Thank you. Councilmember Parker?
Yes, I'd like to remove 13Z through 13AB.
Okay. We'll be removing from consent item 13Z, AA, and AB. Okay. Gotcha. Any other changes to the consent agenda or items to be noted for the record before we vote on it? I need a motion on the consent agenda.
Move to approve as amended.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any questions or discussions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Time now for my mayor's report. I just want to start by thanking council for your very studious and scrutinizing long and really helpful legislative budget hearings last Thursday. I think it was over 8 hours of discussion and questions and answers, and I just want to say thank you. Your questions make the budget better, make the process better, make it more visible and transparent to the public what we're doing and why. I also want to say I know that while staff were able to answer many questions during the course of that hearing, Mr. Evans and the finance team are planning on following up with any questions that required a little more background information. We should get that to you later this week. If you have any additional questions about the budget that didn't come up during the legislative budget hearings, please let me and Mr. Evans or the relevant staff member know so we can try to get back to you in a timely manner. I also want to take a moment to recognize a group of students who have dedicated their time to make our city even better. I'm talking about our members of the Youth Council who are wrapping up their terms. 11 of these members are now graduating from the program, and we're really proud and thankful for them. Right before this council meeting, I went to the Youth Council meeting and had the chance to visit and celebrate with them. So I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you. We appreciate you. They're all sitting over here. And also, I already asked them, but I'll ask council too, the applications for the next cohort of members of the Mayor's Youth Council are open, and we encourage everyone to look for that on the website and encourage people to apply. But especially, let's take a moment to recognize and give a round of applause. Please stand to be recognized, members of the Mayor's Youth Council. They did a great job this year, and their focus was on youth mental health, and had a summit about it and helped produce some publications about it, and really, really grateful. They come from high schools all across the city, and they just did a great job, so we're thankful. This Sunday is one of my favorite events that happens every year, is Open Streets. May 17th on Sunday, Bike Walk Knoxville is hosting Open Streets from 2 to 6 p.m., and this year, the street that they've selected is Gay Street. It'll be an afternoon of car-free Gay Street. It's designed to cultivate community connection and have healthy activities and just some family-friendly fun. And everything is free and open to the public. We hope to see you there. And a quick reminder about our rules of decorum. We are here to do the city's official business. Those who wish to speak, either to a specific agenda item or during public forum, need to sign up with the city recorder before 4 p.m. Do not use profanity. And when speaking to specific agenda items, you must stay on topic. Remarks must be germane to the question ahead of the assembly. That is, statements must have bearing on whether the pending motion should be adopted. Those who fail to adhere to these rules will be ruled out of order. And for those who are listening, please note, if you disrupt a public meeting, you will be asked to leave or escorted out. Thank you in advance for respecting these rules. And that concludes my mayor's report. Are there any reports of committee members, or committees or council members serving on boards? Are there any general council member announcements? Councilmember Adams.
I just wanted to say that the Rules Committee will be meeting later this week on Thursday at 3 p.m. in room 461.
Okay. Rules Committee meeting. Any other general announcements? Or Councilmember Honeycutt?
Yeah, just two quick ones. One, again, I wanted to thank Vice Mayor Lynn Fugit and the city staff and team members for organizing the budget legislative sessions last week. You know, they were long, but it was a great conversation. And because everything was so well organized and the sessions so well set up, we were able to have really productive work sessions. And so just appreciate everyone's effort to get us ready to be part of that process. And then, you know, I'm going to probably say this at every city council meeting for the next 6 months, but we are in the middle of the comprehensive plan process. So please, everyone go to what'snextknoxville.com to learn more about how to be part of that process. And a comprehensive plan is setting a vision for ourselves as a city. And what kind of city do we want to be in 15, 20 years? And then it's up to us to help implement that. But that plan isn't successful unless it hears from the community and gets good feedback from you all. So on the website, there's upcoming listening sessions. They'll be out at a lot of the festivals. And then there's a home base on Market Square where you can actually go in over the summer and give direct feedback. And then, of course, you can do a lot from the actual website in terms of just giving feedback from your home. It takes 20 minutes. So please, what'snextknoxville.com. Log on, participate, be part of the future of Knoxville. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Grant.
Yes, just want to make the announcement. This Thursday at 5:30, the Chihowie Park Advisory Group is going to be meeting at the Jacobs Building. Continue conversation about the future plans at Chihowie Park, encouraging community members, families to come out and participate and give your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Adams.
Thank you. Just a few announcements as well. With the theme of providing feedback, The Corbella proposal is going to be heard by the Planning Commission this Thursday, and encourage anyone who has an opinion or thoughts about that particular proposal to make those comments to the Planning Commission website. That's where they can best be heard by the Planning Commission. Also, on the same day as Open Streets, there's another festival happening in South Knoxville that is the Cattywampus Parade, and it's down at the Suttree Landing Park. So encourage everyone to also, experience Open Streets and either take their bike from Open Streets or hop on a free shuttle that is being piloted on that day from the downriver area to that Suttree Landing area and back. It will be running all day from 1 p.m. until 7 p.m. And this is a pilot. And I really want to thank the merchants of Old Sevier, Kat, Ellie Moore, who has helped make this possible, and hope that we get a lot of good ridership and a lot of good data from that experience and can see what we can do with that kind of idea in the future.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no further lights on, we'll move on to the next agenda item. Ms. Hopper.
12E is a resolution authorizing the mayor to amend the contract with APAC Atlantic Incorporated for the Bomb Drive Stormwater Improvements Project, increasing the contract amount by $33,380 for a new total contract amount not to exceed $652,988.50, funded with the American Rescue Plan Act grant.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
12F is a resolution authorizing the mayor to amend the contract with Adams Contracting LLC for the North Cherry Street Stormwater Improvements Project, increasing the amount by $51,615.91 for a new total contract amount not to exceed $2,845,846.91, funded with the American Rescue Plan Act grant.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Councilmember Parker?
Yes, question. We have a limited amount of time to spend the funding from the American Rescue Plan Act, correct? Would it be possible for council to get an update on where we are with expending all of those dollars?
Yeah, Mr. Claybo, the TDEC stormwater grants have to be spent by, I think you know that off the top of your head.
We're wrapping all the construction up by July. I think the closeout date is September of this year.
September 30th, I believe, is the
Okay.
date.
September 30th for all, we'll confirm if there's anything different from that, we'll send an email out.
So all ARPA funding will have been allocated by September of this year?
I think it has to even be expended by that
No,
time.
all ARPA dollars have long since been appropriated for the departments and the various projects. The only thing remaining is to disperse them, and I believe this is the last of the disbursements. It's been a while, but I'll check and
Yeah,
make sure
we'll-
I'm correct.
We'll
on that.
confirm, but that is our current understanding.
Do we have reporting of all of the projects funded by the ARPA funds anywhere?
I haven't looked at it in a while, but I think we had a whole website about it, and I'm sure that's still up there, so we can send links out and updates to council after the meeting.
If possible, I do have an Excel spreadsheet of the first round of funding, but I couldn't find a similar spreadsheet for the second round.
Well, there was some funds that went directly to the city. I think it was about 42 million.
Right.
And then these monies that you're voting on tonight came separately through TDEC and were only for stormwater. So we'll get that information to you guys.
Amazing. Thank you.
Okay.
I will, and just to add in something, when you said I'd have all the answers to the due outs from the hearings, it may go into next week, so I'll
Okay.
add this one in there and I will
Okay.
get them out. Yes, ma'am.
Before the second reading.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to put the added pressure on you,
No,
Mr.
no,
Evans.
no, it's fine. It's just. we're
He's fast,
working on
but
it,
he's not
it's-
Superman.
There's lots of other good stuff going on.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for managing our expectations more realistically. Any further questions or discussion on items 12F? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
12G is a resolution of the Council of the City of Knoxville authorizing the mayor to execute any and all documents necessary to effectuate an amendment to agreement number C-22-0552 with Samsara Incorporated to provide an additional 376 AVL licenses and equipment and to provide route planning functionality and 20 forward-facing dash cameras to enhance brush pickup operations for a new total annual contract price not to exceed $207,400.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussions? Councilmember Parker, sorry.
Just quickly, we have policies on the management retention of data for KPD's dash cams. Do we have similar policies for fleet services?
Mr. Bradshaw, Director of Fleet Services, I saw him earlier. There you are. If you could please come to the podium and address Councilmember Parker's question, please. It's not, the mic is not on. No,
Oh, he may have to push the button.
it may have
The battery.
to. Is there a card?
No,
Doesn't
he
look
just
like
needs
there's
to
a
push the
card.
button on the back, like push it in.
A button on the back.
Just push it completely in.
Well, if you could go to a side, Mr. Bradshaw, you could just go to one of these desks right there and use one of those.
I don't know. It sounds like they're saying no.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead. Please, if you could just state your name and who you are for the record.
Nicholas Bradshaw, Director of Fleet Services. This may be an anticlimactic answer. There is a policy in place for the public access of records. There is some differentiation between, as I recall, and we've worked with Charles's team on developing these policies. I think fire's a little bit different. I think there's some, has to do with some HIPAA for forward-facing dash cams when they go to a scene. And then police obviously has their own policy, which is separate. And then there's a more generic policy for the other vehicles. Very few of the non-emergency vehicles have cameras, so it's more about just the vehicle history.
Mm-hmm. And in addition to public access to those records, I'm assuming there's also policies regarding retention and management of that, how long you will keep that video for inspection by the public, et cetera.
I'm not an expert in that particular policy. I can get that to you for sure. I do think that the policy addresses retention. I cannot recall off the top of my head what specifically it says.
And so who would manage that footage? Would it be IT? It sounds like you yourself are not deleting footage.
Correct. It's an online. It's managed through the Samsara platform. So it's not on a city server or anything like that. It's all online. My recollection is that the data is at least 6 months old that it goes back, but that is determined by the software provider.
Yeah, any clarification you could find, I would appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
12H is a resolution authorizing the submission of the 2026-2027 Annual Action Plan to the 5-year Consolidated Plan for Housing and Community Development to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and authorizing the mayor to execute any required documents under the Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnerships Act, and Emergency Solutions Grant programs.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 8-1.
12I is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an amendment extending contract C-21-0269 with Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company for a period of 90 days with a price cap of $39,750 in order for city purchasing and Knoxville Area Transit to complete the procurement process for a new bus tire source contract.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
12J is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Nourish Knoxville Incorporated to operate a farmer's market on Market Square in an annual amount of $25,000.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Councilmember Grant? No? Okay. Any questions or discussion? Councilmember Thomas?
Yeah, just some appreciation for what all the farmers market does. I mean, providing all that healthy food from local farmers and providing a market for them. And downtown doesn't have a full grocery store, so that fills a big gap. So happy to support them. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm also a regular shopper and joined by thousands of others. It's really, particularly Saturday morning, so it's come a long way. And is it 20 or 25 years you've been? 23 years. Okay, well, thank you. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
12K is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a subrecipient agreement with the Knox County Community Action Committee to provide an amount not to exceed $100,000 from a State of Tennessee grant for broadband-ready communities to support the expansion of the Knox County Community Action Committee's TechSmart Knox Seniors Program.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Councilmember Adams.
I just wanted to say I was really glad when I was doing research on this project that it will be inclusive of helping seniors with senior scams and the internet. So just appreciate that because it's a real issue.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
12L is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute contracts with Davy Resource Group Incorporated, Forest Edge LLC, Richmond Tree Experts GA, and Invasive Plant Control Incorporated to perform invasive species control services across the city for an annual amount not to exceed $80,000 among 4 contractors.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Councilmember Parker.
Yes, could we get an overview of the process?
Yeah, Rachel Butzler is here, Director of Public Service, and she's here to give an overview and answer any other questions. See if that works. Yeah, it is. It's
Hello?
on. Yeah.
Okay. Rachel Butzler, Director of Public Service Department. Are you looking for an overview of the bid process or kind of our invasive species process?
The invasive species process and the application that would be used to control the invasive species and the city's due diligence that you have done to ensure that this is a safe process.
Yep. So I'm glad that we're talking about this. So we've had limited projects of invasive species removal across the city already. But with the state funding that we have, we're able to go into larger projects. And so I think most people know invasive species. They can reduce habitat quality. It impacts the diversity of the plants and the animals and things like that. And we're losing kind of the quality of the ecological habitat as these invasive species take over. And that's why we're tackling the problem itself. There's a number of methods that you can treat invasive species with. So manual would be just pulling, and that's for kind of the lesser established ones, and you can pull that when the roots are small. Another one we do is cut stump method. So that's the more woody species where you cut it off close to the base and then you do put some chemical application on there. And then there is the foliar application, and that would be things for like kudzu that completely take over an area. This is not going to be a widespread spraying of glyphosate, or kind of that's everybody's worst case scenario. So it's not going to be that. It's going to be targeted application to these areas that are struggling with the invasive species invasive species taking over. All of these contractors, they'll be using, there's like 4 different types of herbicides that they'll use, and they'll select it depending on what the situation is. And these are all FDA approved, EPA approved, and they all have certified herbicide applicator licenses, and they do it within the confines of those. The areas that we've targeted so far, I don't think any of them, the ones we have in mind, they're not around water, but we know if it's around water that we need to select the ones that are water safe. And then I guess just kind of, when we look at a success story, if everybody remembers the bank right underneath the hospital on the river, that was completely taken over by kudzu, and it was just a monoculture of not very ecologically healthy plants and everything. And it took about 3 years, and there was chemical application to that, but it didn't, there was no negative impacts to the water. And 3 years later, it's a much more thriving habitat with a really good diverse number of plants and trees and stuff like that. So we're using that as a success story, and that's our goal, to kind of reclaim these areas that are suffering from invasive species.
Well, thank you for that overview. Very well done, very well done. And I appreciate that because I think there is a lot of concern in the community when they hear about the chemical application that addresses some of these overgrown areas. And so to hear what the plan is, the limited application that's going to be used, not widespread, and the attentiveness that the city is committing to when it comes to impacts on the surrounding environment and surrounding residents, I think is appreciated. So thank you for that overview. And that's all I had.
Okay.
Thank you much.
Thank you. Councilmember Adams.
Yeah, I just wanted to second Councilwoman Parker's compliments for all of that information. I know that I had some of my own concerns and was hearing some of those from the community and was really aided by your feedback. And also when I was able to speak to Casey Krause and other people about how the process would go and hear about that specific example that I could completely recognize on the banks of the Tennessee there. So just want to echo those positive comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Butzler.
13O is an ordinance to amend Chapter 19, Article 5 of the Knoxville City Code so as to prohibit the use of tobacco and vapor products in age-restricted venues.
Is there a motion? Motion made to approve and seconded. Council members, there are some people signed up to speak, 3 in favor and 3 against. We'll start with those signed up to speak in favor. Councilmember Parker?
Only 3 in favor and against?
Yep.
Okay, good to know.
First is Jeremy Corvellis. If you could approach the podium, turn the mic on, and state your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to address council. We won't start the clock till the mic's on because it's not on yet. If you could, there you go.
Good to
You
go.
got it. Yep.
Thank you so much. Thank you, council members, for your time and service. I am Jeremy Corvellis, Chair of Smoke Free Knoxville, a volunteer community-driven coalition. Would the supporters of this ordinance please stand up? We are here in support of this ordinance. So this is the hardest time in modern history to be an indie artist. Modern musicians are up against Spotify and AI. And in Knoxville, it seems that the number of small to medium stages decreases every year as Chattanooga and Nashville become more competitive for up-and-coming artists. So for musicians with chronic health issues like asthma like myself, or autoimmune diseases, histories of cancer, or those who want to quit smoking or avoid it for its known health risks, this means our opportunities for gigs are even fewer. In the 2020s, you got to get the job you can get. Some have said they should just go somewhere else. What about the bartender that gets pregnant? What about the cook who gets diagnosed with emphysema? Why do these people now have to quit their jobs in order to protect their health, especially in a country where health insurance is often tied to employment? In that situation, they can go someplace else means they deserve less protection. Some have said this also limits freedom, but this ordinance does not ban smoking. It does not force smokers to quit. It just says they need to step outside for a little bit to protect those who don't smoke. People also said seatbelts are a restriction on freedom. They said the same thing about age limits on alcohol sales and even drunk driving. But when the freedom to engage in one behavior infringes on the rights to health of another, our society has repeatedly chosen to protect the vulnerable. This common sense policy is no different. I sympathize greatly with those who are concerned about losing their routines, their smoking spaces for unwinding at the end of the day. I hear you. These times are tough. But again, your desire to have a smoke and drink with your friends will still be fulfilled. This ordinance just makes it so that non-smokers can enjoy the same spaces that make the city special, whether it's a job, a gig, or just being invited by your friends. Some have also said this jeopardizes businesses, but data from over 1,300 cities that have gone smoke-free, including Asheville, Atlanta, Birmingham, Nashville, Lexington, and New Orleans, which just celebrated 10 years going smoke-free, none have reported negative economic outcomes. And in fact, decades of research show that business expenses decrease and customer numbers increase. If anything, this ordinance makes our scruffy pubs more competitive with the larger, newer venues. Our culture is not defined by cigarettes, it's community. It's live music, conversation, local brews, darts, pool, conversations, shared experiences. This ordinance is a balanced measure to protect public health, strengthen local businesses, and protect the workers who make these places special. Smokers will still have the freedom to smoke, but with this ordinance, non-smokers will never have to risk their own health for a paycheck. And I'd like to submit our partner sign-on letter with our numerous affiliate organizations.
Thank you. You can bring that up to the city recorder here if you want. Yeah, thank you. While he's bringing that, thank you. Next person signed up to speak in favor of this item is Michael Holtz. Mr. Holtz, if you could come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to address council.
Good evening. My name is Michael Holtz. I live at 4557 Twin Pines Drive in the great city of Knoxville. I've lived in Knoxville for 34 years. I'm also a 14-year survivor of stage 3B rectal cancer. I'm here today because I believe the time for Knoxville to pass a comprehensive smoke-free ordinance and make all public places and workplaces smoke-free, the time is now. My dad smoked Cool Filter Kings 2 packs a day. I was exposed to secondhand smoke every day for the first 20 years of my life. My dad died of a massive heart attack at the age of 48 after undergoing sextuple bypass surgery 2 years earlier. A common argument against passage of a smoke-free ordinance is just let us have our vice. Dad was a let me have my vice guy too. He died in early death and left behind my mom and 4 kids between the ages of 13 and 20. He had his vice. I would rather have had more time with my dad. People exposed to secondhand smoke have an increased risk of being diagnosed with colorectal cancer later in life. I can tell you from experience that you don't want any part of that. I have a permanent colostomy and neuropathy in my feet that is only going to get worse as I age, all from treatment for colorectal cancer. I'm here today to serve as a cautionary tale to do everything we can to reduce everyone's cancer risk. Exposure to secondhand smoke is a preventable cause of cancer. We have known this for decades. Today, people under age 50 are being diagnosed with cancer at increasing rates. 14 types of cancer, including breast and colorectal, are on the rise among people under the age of 50. These are our bartenders, our musicians, our waiters and waitresses, security personnel, kitchen staff, and others who are exposed to secondhand smoke in their workplaces. I've been a cancer advocate for more than 24 years. I've lost count of the people under age 50 I have known, loved, and lost to cancer, leaving behind devastated children, spouses, and families. We don't entirely know why this is happening, but we know that there are things that we can do to reduce cancer risk, like pass comprehensive smoke-free ordinances that protect every worker in every workplace from exposure to secondhand smoke. Becky Siegel, cancer epidemiologist for the American Cancer Society, said at a congressional research briefing earlier this year that the rates of colorectal cancer among young people will continue to rise until we as a nation decide that it's time to do something about it. I'm not here tonight to speak to what we can do as a country, but I have some ideas. What I do need to say is, in Knoxville, we can do this and reduce people's risk for cancer. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up to speak in favor of this item is Kayla Smith. Kayla Smith, if you'd come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to address council.
I have handouts, can I?
Yeah, if Mr. Frost will come get that, or yeah, Ms. Middlebrook will get it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kayla Smith, and I live at 704 West Hills Road in the city of Knoxville. Chairs, mayor, and members of city council, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. The American Heart Association strongly supports smoke-free indoor air policies because they are grounded in decades of peer-reviewed scientific evidence. Smoking remains a leading cause of preventable death in the United States, and its health impact extends far beyond the individual who smokes. Exposure to secondhand smoke causes serious and immediate harm to the cardiovascular system. According to the American Heart Association, more than 480,000 people die each year in the United States due to cigarette smoking, and over 41,000 of those deaths occur among non-smokers that are exposed to secondhand smoke. In Tennessee, more than 11,000 adults die from smoking-related illnesses each year, and these deaths are preventable. There is no safe level of exposure to secondhand smoke. Smoke-free indoor air policies are proven to improve heart health outcomes at the community level, and this ordinance is not about restricting choice, but is rather about creating environments that support healthier lifestyles for everyone, including hospitality workers, musicians, and the people that frequent the businesses. Across the country, progress has been made. Comprehensive smoke-free laws are now in place in more than 1,000 cities, protecting approximately 2/3 of the U.S. population. These policies are widely supported and successfully implemented in cities large and small. The proposed ordinance aligns with priorities in the 2023 Abridged Community Health Assessment, which highlights chronic disease prevention, improved air quality, and identifies tobacco use as one of the top 5 health issues impacting our community. Published by the Knox County Health Department, the assessment guides the Community Health Council in creating the Community Health Improvement Plan to improve health across Knox County. The Community Health Council has representatives that are appointed by this city council from the city of Knoxville, Knox County, and the town of Farragut, showing municipal support for smoke-free environments already exists. This legislation is evidence-based, consistent with national best practices, and focused on protecting public health. The American Heart Association respectfully urges the City Council to support this measure. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we will switch over to the people who signed up to speak against this item. First is Houston Forgy. If you could come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to address council.
My name's Houston Forgy. I live at 8123 Tazewell Pike, Quarrington, Tennessee. And although I don't live in Knoxville, I spend a lot of taxable money at these establishments. Since I've lived here, I moved here in 2019, and in that time, Knoxville has become drastically more expensive. Rent, housing, food, and gas prices are through the roof. The cost of living keeps climbing while wages lag behind. People are stressed, overworked, and getting squeezed from every direction. And for a lot of us, these bars are not just businesses. They are places where people decompress, socialize, and support local culture after long weeks. And for these businesses that are already struggling with inflation, rising operating costs, labor shortages, and an increasingly difficult economy, policies like this could absolutely push some smaller neighborhood bars over the edge. And I'm not talking about the huge venues that are packed wall to wall every weekend. I'm talking about the local hole-in-the-wall places like Marie's or Stillhouse Tavern that are operating on barely 1,000 square feet of real estate. These are the businesses that you are hurting, not the big music venues. And small bars like this will not survive this policy. When a local business suffers, Knoxville's economy suffers with them. In a little over a week, I've personally started and collected a petition with more than 2,200 signatures opposing this proposal from Knoxville residents and patrons from the surrounding communities who regularly spend money in this city. The only time that I have had to collect these signatures is on the weekends, and if this vote hadn't been rushed, I would have brought you 22,000. I want to make something very clear. The number one thing I've heard from people signing this petition is I don't smoke, but people should have the freedom to choose. I heard that over and over again, and this is not just smokers opposing this proposal. Many of the people signing simply believe that adults should be trusted to make their own decision, and business owners should have the right to decide what kind of environment that they operate. Now I'd like to talk about the inconsistencies here. We are being told that this proposal is about health and worker safety, yet certain establishments like cigar bars and specially licensed businesses may still be allowed to permit indoor smoking through exemptions. And if indoor smoking is truly unacceptable in every setting, then why are exceptions being carved out for some businesses while others are punished? That is not equal treatment. Knoxville has countless smoke-free establishments. No one is forced to enter a smoking bar, and people already have the freedom to choose where they go. And this proposal removes that freedom. I urge this council to reconsider before lasting damage is done to small businesses that may not survive another major hit. This is not balanced, this is not fairness, and this is not good for Knoxville's local businesses and economy. And the last thing I'd like to leave this council with is the voices of this fine city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person signed up to speak is Chris Watson. Chris Watson, if you could come to the podium and state your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to address council.
My name is Chris Watson. I live at 2239 Lawson Avenue, Knoxville. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. I'm speaking on behalf of myself, the customers I serve, smokers and non-smokers, and other service industry workers that can't be here tonight. I'm a born and raised Knoxvillian, musician, and bartender. I work at Knoxville's longest-running smoking bar, a local institution. I also support and volunteer with community health programs and mutual aid projects. While I understand the stated intention and goals of this proposed ordinance, I urge you to vote against it, banning tobacco and vapor use in age-restricted venues. I believe in science and understand the harms associated with smoking and vape use intimately. My father died from lung cancer at 51 years old. However, I believe personal choice is the primary concern here. We can't legislate our way, forcing people to make healthier personal decisions. This proposal strips private business owners of their right to decide how to operate. Small business owners bear the compliance costs and the risk of these rules. The concern becomes, in which other part of our private lives will the government intervene? Second, this ordinance removes the ability of consenting adults to make their own decisions about where to spend time and money. Patrons who prefer smoking-friendly venues do so knowingly. Most seek it out, even from out-of-state visitors. For non-smoking customers, there are ample alternatives. Smoke-free restaurants, bars, and entertainment venues already exist and will continue to coexist with businesses that cater to other preferences. Workers and employers do acknowledge risks. No one is being forced to work in a smoking environment. Businesses that permit on-site tobacco or vape use are already complying with existing regulations and provide ventilation and notice to customers. The financial consequences of this narrow ban would fall disproportionately on a handful of local businesses and their employees. Reduced patronage could lead to lower revenues, lost hours, layoffs, and closures. We can't afford to lose the spaces that sustain businesses, communities, and jobs. These losses ripple through the local economy and reduce taxes to support city services. These aren't big box corporate businesses. We're the local neighborhood watering holes that provide a space for our customers. Not only do we generate tax revenue for the city, we create and maintain unique establishments that make Knoxville what it is. I believe council should prioritize urgent public health challenges that have a broader impact across our city, like expanding access to affordable housing and making healthcare affordable and accessible for all. For these reasons, to defend private business autonomy, preserve adult choice, acknowledge informed worker and patron decision-making, and to avoid concentrated economic harm while focusing our resources on larger public health priorities, I respectfully ask you to reject this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Forgy, I don't know if you had something you wanted to deliver, a petition or something. If you do, you can bring that up to the city recorder here. Meantime, the third and final speaker signed up to speak in opposition to this is Paul Smith. Mr. Smith, if you could come to the podium. Thank you. State your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to address council.
Yes, it's Paul Smith, 2201 Bishops Bridge Road, Knoxville. Members of City Council, I own one of the few small Knoxville bars that allow smoking, just one more bar and grill, just outside in West Knoxville. Around 12 businesses are being told they might have to ban smoking, which they allowed since opening. 80% of my patrons are smokers. My business is situated in a shopping center, which means I cannot create a patio area or allow smokers to step outside the front door to light up. I have invested so far in 2 smoke filtration devices and plan to install more to make all of my patrons feel comfortable. Small bars allow smoke based on personal freedom of choice. Having worked in bars and restaurants since I was 18, so 20 years or so, I have never had employees or patrons complain about the smoky atmosphere because they want it. Hundreds of restaurants, bars, and breweries in Knoxville don't allow smoking, which offers employees and patrons many opportunities to work in and enjoy a smoke-free area. Among the 12 small businesses that allow smoking in Knoxville, only a few offer live music options. More than 40 non-smoking venues in Knoxville host live music every week, which provides ample opportunities for musicians who want or need to avoid smoke to find work. Before booking a new act myself, I always advise all the people that my bar does allow smoking. So if they want to back out, there is no repercussions necessary. Only 2 bands have turned me down due to health concerns. The rest say they choose to play at my establishment, not because they are desperate for a gig, but because they do enjoy the atmosphere and camaraderie they find there. The proposed legislation will only affect businesses within city limits, meaning that a bar a couple miles down the road from me could continue to allow smoking because they are in the county, which would pull and divert my business to others and hurt me to survive. It would also require costly changes on our part regarding interior infrastructure that we just can't afford right now. How is it fair to create such a disparity between small businesses based on where they lie according to city limits? There are a number of pressing issues in our city that need resolution before we consider measures that will harm small local businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, that concludes people who signed up to speak on this item. Councilmember Helsley.
Thank you, Mayor. Before us is a pro-health, no-cost ordinance to act on a state law change that returns autonomy to our local government. The 2007 statewide Non-Smoker Protection Act removed indoor smoking from any workplace for almost everyone. Almost all of us are guaranteed a smoke-free workplace. The 21-plus venues are outliers. We have an opportunity for leadership to support community health outcomes by closing a loophole on workplace protections. We can expand the same protections given to everyone else in 2007. I remember when those changes happened at my work. This is a common sense change observed by over 1,300 cities, whole states, and entire countries. Cities across Kentucky, Ohio, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, and Louisiana all limit smoking in all venues. I think that's just the southern states, by the way. There's the northern states are another story. Yikes, sorry. It's time Tennessee joined those states and cities in their commitment to public health. Nashville adopted this. 56 bars went smoke-free. Businesses better, their clientele increased. College cities with young workers and patrons commonly have smoke-free businesses across the board, from Athens, Georgia to Bloomington, Indiana, and beyond. This ordinance is not a smoking ban. It does not prohibit smoking on patios of public businesses. This will not impact retail establishments that sell tobacco, cigar, or vape products. There is an important point, though, I'd like to address. In 2007, just about every workplace went straight smoke-free across the state. That TVA employees, construction workers, law offices, grocery store workers, you name it, pick any employee group. Almost all workplaces are smoke-free, but the 21-plus venues. from the guy washing dishes, the bartender, to the delivery guy, to the musician at a gig, or the person working on repairs after hours. Even KPD city cadets visit back-to-back bars doing beer inspections. Knox County employees visit them as well. Exposure to secondhand smoke for an entire work shift, day after day, may seem harmless. Everything seems harmless until you get a diagnosis. Secondhand smoke causes many preventable illnesses and deaths. That's why we ban smoking in virtually every other workplace. There shouldn't be a different standard for some employee groups. No job is more important than another. No employee's health is less valuable than another. And overall, these employees are often younger and under or uninsured. I'm proud to bring forth this legislation for a variety of reasons. Most simply, it's a public health issue. Some things are the right thing to do. Going outside to smoke is the right thing to do. As a former smoker and two-time quitter, I did share of my smoking outside. I did a lot of it. I feel strongly about this. Protecting people is simple and easy. You step outside, you have your cigarette, and the collective public health is better for it. The dangers of secondhand smoke don't need to be belabored here. We've heard them for years, all the way back to the 1960s. There's been a lot of impact to curb secondhand smoke, but our doctors and caregivers tell us it's just not enough. The guy with asthma, the child who lost a family member to cancer, the longtime bar employee that gets emphysema. It's as easy as taking a cigarette outside. That's the standard in every other workplace in thousands of cities across most states. 16 organizations and countless physicians and healthcare practitioners requested this ordinance change. Just to name a few: the American Heart Association, Metro Drug Coalition, Musicians for a Smoke-Free, I think Knoxville or whatever, Prevention Alliance of Tennessee, Knox Music Coalition, Arts and Culture Alliance, American Cancer Society, Knox County Community Health Council, and the American Lung Association of Tennessee. This ordinance is about everyone in and around existing or future businesses, not any specific venue. It's a nonpartisan issue. Cancer, asthma, emphysema, and other diseases do not care how you vote. This ordinance is unequivocally not anti-business. It's supported by decades of data pointing to increased customer base and cleaner air for everyone. Lost productivity from cigarette smoking cost us over $92 billion a year. Employees in smoking establishments get sick twice as often and have higher health care costs. The EPA estimates that smoking establishments pay about $200 per 1,000 square feet more in cleaning and maintenance costs, and on top of that, insurance premiums are higher. This is sound pro-business public health policy. Lexington, Louisville, Atlanta, and New Orleans pave the way and show us how you can have dive bars and take the cigarettes outside. Several local bar owners have told the media or individuals that this will be good for their business, that many turn away when they find out that smoking is permitted indoors. This is a reasonable step forward for Knoxville. This is common sense policy that helps people. It's not only good policy, but it's the right thing to do. This ordinance does not prohibit smoking, nor is it a moral judgment against those who choose to smoke. It simply recognizes that one person's choice to smoke indoors directly affects the health and working conditions of others sharing the same space. And if someone would like to smoke, they can simply step outside. Smoke-free indoor environments are increasingly a basic quality of life expectation. Most other cities have already adopted comprehensive indoor smoking bans with bipartisan support. In fact, smoke-free indoor laws are now the norm across the country. Knoxville is the outlier. I thank my colleagues for the time to speak on this. I hope you will join me in supporting this public health measure, and I also want to thank the community members and healthcare professionals for their support as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember DeBartoleben.
Debbie, thank you for your comments. So I'll be voting against the ordinance. No, I did. I'm glad that we get to speak. So I'll be voting against the ordinance, and here's a few thoughts on why. The 2007 Non-Smokers Protection Act is a good law on the books that allows patrons over 21 years of age and private business owners to make choices. It successfully eliminated smoking in all workplaces, like offices, and in places like Cracker Barrel, Waffle House, and most city bars. In yesterday's Knox News, their article, they were able to identify 10 21 and over bars that still allow smoking, and that was what they identified, and only one of which has regular live music. Second reason, Whether there are 10 or 14 of these establishments within city limits, the arguments for the ban rely on many false tropes. False tropes are narrative devices or plot points that are misleading, overused to the point of cliche, or based on misconceptions designed to set up a specific expectation. And again, I'll read from yesterday's Knox News. Why ban smoking? Advocates say it's a public health and workers' rights issue. Lax smoking regulations prevent performers and service workers from finding jobs, they say. Quote, as a musician with asthma, smoking significantly impacts where I'm able to get work. Indoor smoking is an outdated, unfashionable, and disgusting public health risk that needs to be thrown out once and for all. There's a reason that we have not seen the larger community of musicians in Knoxville be active in speaking in favor of this ordinance. Because with only really one truly indoor smoking venue that regularly offers live music, it does not affect the majority of musicians. That same venue, the Prez Pub, also has a sister music venue that is smoke-free next door called Scruffy City Hall. There's also a reason why several bartenders and servers who actually do work in these venues have emailed us. They've spoken actively against this smoking ban. They choose to work in these places, and they enjoy working in these places. So the reasoning in favor of this ban is full of false tropes. Thirdly, the balance between personal liberty and public health should be taken seriously and reserved for serious issues that actually have significant impact, like the measures required during the pandemic that we all experienced. And I'm going to read that again. The balance between personal liberty and public health should be taken seriously and reserved for serious issues that actually have significant impact. I believe that this ban is a token gesture, and that token gestures erode the people's trust in this body to make meaningful judgments on behalf of our city. Fourth, I have a guiding principle: don't Nashville or Knoxville. I moved to Knoxville from that city on the other side of the plateau, so I didn't have to follow the dress code. This ordinance originated with lobbyists in Nashville, where there actually are many, we just heard 56 smoking venues that have live music, and where musicians actually make their full-time living off that music and not just play the occasional gig. Knoxville, that's not our experience. And so again, that principle is don't Nashville or Knoxville. Fifth and finally, the few smoking establishments we have are third places. As third places, they provide real community for a small number of Knoxvillians. I believe the mental health benefits of these communities are significant. Some may believe that, again, I quote, indoor smoking is an outdated, unfashionable, and disgusting health risk that needs to be thrown out once and for all. I beg to differ. Yesterday afternoon, I made a visit to Marie's Old Town in the 4th District, Old Town Tavern. At 1 o'clock, there were 7 regulars inside. They're in their 70s and 80s. 4 of them were drinking $2 light beers. 3 were drinking sodas. No one was drinking liquor because Marie chooses not to serve liquor. She gladly points people down to the corner lounge down the street if they want liquor, and she does the same if they don't want to enter a smoking bar. Marie tells me that this first wave of regulars sits and talks together until around 3 p.m. each day and then heads home. I believe that this daily experience enriches their lives and supports their mental health. I stand with Marie and the 7 beautiful souls. I saw her serve yesterday. Again, I believe that the 2007 Non-Smokers Protection Act is a good law on the books, allowing patrons over 21 years of age and private business owners to make choices. It's a solid balance between personal liberty and public health, and so I beseech my colleagues to vote against this ordinance. Thank you.
Okay. Council Member Grant, and then Vice Mayor Fugit.
I think this is one of those issues that's somewhat of a no-brainer when it comes to public health. You have workers and customers who should be able to enjoy a night out without being forced to inhale smoke or anything of that matter. We know the long-term health impacts are real, and you do have cities across the country who have already adopted and moved in this direction with success. At the end of the day, protecting public health should always matter. especially for employees who spend hours every day in these environments. At the same time, I also have to think about small business owners, especially neighborhood bars, establishments that have operated in certain ways for years. Many of these businesses are already dealing with rising costs, staffing shortages, inflation, and economic uncertainty. Change like this can impact customer habits, staffing, overall revenue, and that reality matters too. And we cannot ignore the concerns that we already have with small local business owners who help keep the Knoxville economy moving. I also believe that adults should have the freedom to make personal choices, including the choice to smoke. This ordinance is not about attacking smokers or acting as if the government should control any personal decisions people make. I think people have the right to make them choices themselves. The challenge is finding balance between personal freedom and protecting health and working conditions of others, especially employees who may not have the option to avoid secondhand smoke while earning a paycheck. I also support and I understand the cigar bars being exempt from this ordinance. I was a bit confused. I do know that those businesses are specifically designed and operated around the smoking experience. I believe there's a reasonable difference between a cigar bar built for that purpose and a general public bar where employees and patrons may not expect that level of exposure. I'm going to support this ordinance, but I would ask Councilwoman Hesley, Councilwoman Adams, Councilman Thomas, and Councilman Doug, appreciate the amount of effort that went into this. This is a tough one. I got hundreds of calls over the last couple weeks. It's no secret that downtown and some of these bars, majority of bars, sit in District 6. And so you can just imagine the amount of emails and calls that happen. As your constituent, I'm gonna ask that if we were gonna make this change, that we do it responsibly. And I think there's a way that we can prioritize public health while also respecting the personal freedoms and giving local business a fair opportunity to adjust. I believe Knoxville can lead with common sense, balance, and fairness while continuing to move our city toward a healthier future. And so when I looked at this resolution and I saw, that these businesses were only gonna have about 90 days to make this adjustment, that's hard for anybody who's been operating for a number of years. And so what I would ask is that we, look at this ordinance. I would like to make a motion to allow this ordinance to pass. I am going to support it, but I would like an effective date of January 1st, 2027 to give businesses an opportunity to make this adjustment for their establishments. Thank you.
Okay, motion to amend the effective date to January 1st of 2027 has been made. Is there a second to that motion to amend? Second. Okay, motion to amend has been made and seconded about the date change. Is there any discussion? Several people's lights are on. Do you want to discuss the amendment?
Yes.
Okay, Vice Mayor?
Thank you. One of the questions I was going to ask, I agree with everything Mr. Grant said, Councilmember Grant said, because as the daughter of an entrepreneur, I understand how your whole life and financial world is tied into your business. I also understand the other side of the health risk and people who work there. I do think asking people to change their business model rather quickly in 90 days is an undue hardship if you want to meet the greater good of actually having this work. I understand some of it's ripping off the Band-Aid, but trying to change your business model may take some adjustment and getting customers used to the idea. So I understand it's as simple as step outside and smoke. I was raised by two smokers. Sister smoked, only person in the household that did not. They learned to step outside, so it can be done. So I'm not making a judgment on that, but I will support your motion to extend the adoption time to allow for a little more time to plan. And if changes to infrastructure have to be made, it gives some people the time to figure that out.
Thank you. Councilmember Honeycutt.
Thank you. A lot of great discussion here tonight among, all of our council members and the community. Thank you for coming out and expressing your opinions for both sides. That really does help inform the greater conversation about Knoxville. I'm not going to lie, this is a hard one for me. I am a big believer in personal freedoms, and I'm a local business owner, so I understand, the hardships of trying to run your own business. It is, in looking at both sides to this particular argument, I do think it is also interesting for both sides that, this, by my calculations, only affects about 2% of the restaurants and bars in this city. So 98%, it does not. But, we do come together as a community to agree from time to time to give up certain personal freedoms for the greater good. I, for instance, can drink alcohol, but I cannot drink and drive because drinking and driving, could harm not just myself, but other people. And so I think that, in this instance, because it is a narrow proposal and only affects a couple businesses, it also, does not affect tobacco-driven businesses like cigar bars and vape shops. And I've also looked at like our competitor communities, the communities we compete against for businesses and tourism. So like Greenville, South Carolina, Lexington, Birmingham, Alabama, they all adopted this many, many years ago. So for those reasons, I will be supporting this ordinance today, but I totally agree in giving the business culture an opportunity, a much longer runway to adapt and make their businesses profitable going forward. So I agree with the extension.
Thank you. Councilmember Adams and then Councilmember Parker.
Thank you. And I appreciate the comments from Councilman Grant and the idea of the extension. I only want just to share in dialogue, because I got some comments today about this idea from a constituent. And in thinking about it, one of my concerns, understanding the business concern that you expressed, is thinking about the population of the city and what happens in the next 90 days, which is we have a number of persons who will be returning to the city, to the university, and persons who have never been here before, who are coming to the university, who will have their first experience in our bars and restaurants, et cetera. So if we do enact this and it happens in the next 90 days, we're kind of starting from a clean slate from that perspective, as opposed to having those populations come experience one scenario for 6 months or 4 months and then starting in January. That's my only kind of comment back to that starting period, is thinking about how our city changes in that period of time, and would it be easier for some of them to actually start with a university that's starting on that 90-day schedule.
Councilmember Parker.
Thank you, Mayor. I am not in favor of this ordinance, and so I'm not in favor of the delayed implementation. And I appreciate the comments shared by Councilmember DeBartolome and agree with what he shared. When this issue came on our agenda, I researched other cities and what other cities have done, and found that ours was a more restrictive ordinance that was being brought forward. It includes retail vapor stores, but it doesn't include vape lounges as an exemption, for instance. And we know there's a thriving business in North Knoxville that is recently established with that very purpose. As has been mentioned, we also have long-established bars like Marie's, where you might go in the afternoon and find Marie working there, one employee. These are not large establishments, so any sort of exemption for bars that did not have employees. Hookah bars. Hookah bars, in my experience, over the last 20 years, have been an opportunity to have a cultural experience that now is being taken away. And then there's the hemp-derived cannabinoid businesses that are new to our state. Nashville includes an exemption for those, and our ordinance does not. So I'm not sure. This has all come before us so quickly. I don't understand why, this is a more strict ordinance in comparison to other cities. But at the same time, what public forum speakers said in terms of the exemptions and the reasoning behind the ordinance conflict with each other. It doesn't really make sense to have an exemption for cigar bars and retail stores if the concern is a public health concern. So I agree with my colleague that the arguments have not been convincing as to why this is needed. There is no proposal on the floor to, send this to a workshop so we can have a better understanding. We've had different numbers even tonight shared about how many businesses would be impacted. So I'm concerned that we are willing to make a decision tonight that could have some negative impacts. And I agree, not only on the businesses, but on some folks' sense of community. And these are hard times. I tell you, when this ordinance came forward, I was trying to think about how we as a city could respond to the voter disenfranchisement that we're seeing at the state level, and just feeling under attack constantly. And then this comes forward, and it's, a handful of businesses that would be impacted, but a handful of businesses that provide a refuge for some folks in this city to build community and to get away from the madness that is this state. And it just breaks my heart that this is what we are focusing on right now with all that's going on in our state and in our world. Without some sort of amendments to this ordinance that would make it a bit more targeted and not try to eliminate all 21 and up establishments other than cigar bars and these retail tobacco stores that are protected by Tennessee state law. I'm not in support of it. So I wish the conversation was about amending the ordinance and not just taking it as is, if this has the support for it to move forward.
Thank you. Councilmember Lloyd.
Yes, as we very well know, secondhand smoke has been a proven issue for probably 5 decades at least. I personally have lost many, many friends and some relatives to various health issues that's connected with smoking. In the last couple of days, I've received literally a book of emails, almost overwhelmingly in favor of this. I think if we pass this ordinance and we rescue, perhaps rescue is not the right word, but rescue one person, one young person from cancer in 20 years, I think it's worth the effort. So I will definitely be voting in favor of it.
Does Thank you. Council members, the motion before you is to amend the original motion to the effective date of January 1st, 2027. Is there any further question or discussion on the motion to amend? Seeing none, all those in favor of this amendment, please say aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
Motion to amend the date carries 7-2. Now back to the original motion as amended. Any further discussion on the motion as amended? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-2. Thank you. That was first reading. Okay. Ms. Hopper.
13P is an ordinance approving the request of Matco Affordable Housing for an amendment to the East City Sector Plan from other open space to medium-density residential for property located at 4524, 4528, and 4534 Nora Road, leaving all special purpose land use classifications unchanged, 4th District.
Move to approve.
Motion made to approve. Yes. And second, it's been motion, it's been made and seconded. Yeah. What's the question? Okay. Council members, this motion's been made and seconded. We do have 2 people signed up to speak in favor and or available for questions. Benjamin Mullins, did you want to just give an overview of this, or did you want to just make sure council knows you're available to answer questions? You have please state your name and address for the record. You have up to 3 minutes to address council.
Thank you. Ben Mullins, 552 West Main Street, here for the applicant. I think most of you are familiar with this project. You've had an opportunity to talk to several of us about it and visit the property. You know, it is a sector plan, one-year plan amendment from OS to MDR, and a zoning from RN1 to RN5 on Nora Road for some low-income tax credit, affordable housing, approximately 180 units, which includes 60 mainstream vouchers for ADA permitted supportive housing. You know, it's a part of the city that is underutilized. You know, there are some environmental constraints with it. There are some hillside issues there, although it does look like about 11 acres of that property had been disturbed back in the 1980s for a borrow pit for the expansion for 640. That would be exempt from the hillside. We're still working on our final building footprint. We think we may need to use, 6-7 acres of it for the footprint, and the balance of it we're committed to put into a conservation easement. It reminds me of a similar project we had on Merchants, where we were able to develop the front part of the property for some affordable housing, and the back part of it I think we're able to reserve as a conservation easement. I think there's an opportunity to do that here, and we're certainly very supportive of that. I know Nora Road's a narrow road as well, and that's going to need to be addressed during permitting as to what improvements may need to be had there. I've got the proprietor of Matco here, can answer questions. He has been engaged with the neighborhoods, and specifically the Baptist church as an area. They had some questions and concerns, and he's working with them so he makes sure that gets addressed in the permitting as well. So I think this makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of benefits to this. I think this is a good location to put something like this. I think it's remarkable to note that this is affordable housing project. Yet through this entire project we've had 0 comments in opposition. No one speaking in any of these meetings in opposition. So I think that speaks to both the need and the appropriate location for this. So all that said, we're happy to answer any questions and continue this conversation, but I ask that you approve both the sector plan, the one-year plan amendment, and the rezoning per Planning Commission's recommendations. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mullins. Mr. Abhishek Mathur, would you like to speak to council? Okay, he just wanted to let council know he's available for questions. He's the property owner represented by Mr. Mullins. That concludes the people who signed up to speak on item 12P. Councilmember Parker.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm in support of this project. I appreciate the conversation that took place at the Planning Commission and helped my understanding a bit as well. And I did have an opportunity to visit the project and get a better understanding of the property. And this is an area where there is already an area kind of leveled out for development along this ridge. My only question was around the road improvements that I agree are needed. And so it was maybe engineering, I'm not sure who could speak to during that permitting process. What discussions take place regarding road infrastructure?
So with a project this size, there'll be a traffic impact analysis required, and that traffic impact analysis will identify any deficiencies or anything needs to be brought up to any current specifications.
And then if deficiencies are discovered, who would be responsible for addressing them?
The developer.
Yes.
We don't have a lot of extra funds to do the many, many pressing needs, so those would be on the developer.
Okay. And this is something that the developer is aware of and committed to?
Yes, that traffic impact study is in that process, so.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. All right, those are all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Fugit.
Thank you. I would like to amend the motion to include 12P, Q, and R.
Okay, motions.
Will you accept my amendment, Ms. Helsley?
Okay, motion has been made to consolidate items 13P, Q, and R into one consolidated item. That motion's been made and seconded. Any questions or discussion on this motion to consolidate? Seeing none, let's just vote on that consolidation, then I'll call you for your substantive comments. All those in favor of this consolidation, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to consolidate carries. Now back to the consolidated motion. Councilmember Grant?
Yeah, I just want to speak on this. I had the opportunity to visit the site as well, and there was a lot of drug activity in this particular area. There was also a couple homicides in recent years, just with having homeless people and things in this area. So I think it's a real good thing that we had Matco coming in just to be able to create more housing and housing for our seniors too. I think that was really the big thing for me, is the additional ADA units for our seniors. So thank you.
Councilmember Thomas.
Yes, one of the things that make me comfortable in supporting this is just the scale. I did walk the property with the developer. He answered all my questions. The footprint is going to be relatively small in regard to the full amount of property. Most of the property will remain natural. And then I think the developer's plans is to make a significant amount of walking space for the residents, and which will, of course, be more or less a natural area. So the scale of what's being built on and what's being left, I just thought it was a good balance, so I can support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
13S is an ordinance to change the base zoning classification of property located at 2018 Flegler Road from RN1 District to RN2 District. Christy Gettleman applicant, 5th District.
Motion made to approve and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
13Z is an ordinance approving the request of Sean Smith for an amendment to the Northwest City Sector Plan from medium-density residential to general commercial for property located at 4601 and 4605 Western Avenue, leaving all special purpose land use classifications unchanged, 3rd District.
And Mayor, I pulled these off of the consent agenda, and now I'd like to make a motion to combine all three items.
Okay. Motion's been made to consolidate items Z, AA, and AB. Has been made and seconded. Does everyone understand the motion to consolidate? Any questions or discussion on the motion to consolidate? Seeing none, all those in favor of this motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion to consolidate carries. Ms. Parker. Did you want to speak to the item?
I did. I did not make a motion pertaining to this item.
Okay. Well, it's a land use item, so I think according to council's rules, we can discuss it before a motion is on the floor.
All right.
Is that?
I think,
Okay, yeah. Okay, go ahead, please. You have up to 5 minutes.
I mean, it's an unfortunate rule. I'll talk about that another day, but I wanted to talk about this Western Avenue property, and I think maybe Director Brooks, are you perhaps the only one here? I found the conversation at planning interesting for this piece of property because it's a small strip of property along Western Avenue being changed to highway commercial. The rest of the property along Western Avenue around this property is highway commercial, so it's just an extension. But I found the conversation interesting because Planning Commission was acknowledging there's not much room for development. So, but what I didn't get a good sense of is approving this rezoning with the hillside protections in place could still allow for a certain amount of blasting and a retainer wall put in if a development went in. Are you able to speak to that at all?
Director Brooks?
Amy Brooks, Knoxville County Planning. Yes, they would still have to comply with the hillside section of the code. I'm not sure, I can't speak to what the applicant wants to do with the property, but you are correct. There was discussion about, there is access to the property. There's a flatter portion where I think a residence has been historically. But again, I can't speak to what exactly they plan on doing. They would have to go through the proper permitting in order to do any kind of blasting, and then, of course, to build a retaining wall and get their access approved.
Who is our resident hillside protection expert in the city? Who would that be?
Ms. Parker, I don't know if we have a single one. I think there's a lot of people who are familiar with it. Do you have a particular question?
Just when an item like this one comes before us and we say, okay, it has hillside protections, but I want to know exactly what are they able to do, even with those hillside protections in place. Who can I speak to about that?
I think Director Brooks would be our first stop.
We do run a slope analysis for any property that is located within the hillside protection area. And so then, in terms of permitting, there are a number of different people who touch this, but again, it depends on what they're going to do. So there might be stormwater who might weigh in. There might be folks from, transportation engineering who would get engaged. It really just depends on exactly what they're planning on doing.
Mm-hmm. And is it when does the slope analysis take place?
For a rezoning, we'll do that in the beginning, like when someone submits an application, or if they're just exploring development potential, we'll do it if they request it.
But that's not included with the review of the rezoning.
It is. So we have, as part of the case file, a slope analysis that's included that goes to Planning Commission.
Okay, so let's talk about the slope analysis because numbers in a chart aren't going to make sense to me. But what does make sense to me is essentially the conversation that took place at planning is their ability to, blast into the side of this hill and put up a retaining wall. I know that, there's certain percent of the hillside that would have to be protected, certain parts that wouldn't have to be. So based on the percentage of the hillside that would need to be protected, how likely is it that they would be able to blast into this hillside to increase their development area?
They are given, as part of this analysis, what's called a recommended disturbance budget. So that identifies an acreage or what percentage of the hillside they can disturb. Again, without a plan, I don't know that we can speak to it. And it actually wouldn't be our office who would determine what, how that blasting would take place, or, what other considerations would need to be made before they received a permit.
Which office would that be?
That would be plans review and inspections where they would go next.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm inclined to vote similar to Commissioner Midas, who voted against this because of the potential for, future developments to come into this area only with the aid of large retaining walls. And that did make me think about development in that area and needing to understand the implications of our votes. This one I'm not so clear on, so I think I'll err on the side of caution and abstain on this one.
Okay, just a reminder, there is no current motion on the floor. Councilmember Adams, sorry, and then Honeycutt.
It's okay. I am assuming, since this was on consent, that we'll have a motion to approve, but given the opportunity to talk about it, knowing we'll have a second reading, I just wanted to raise a question, because when I looked at the case, just the proximity to LDR, it was a big jump from RN1 to CH1. That's a big jump. So I will defer to the district rep who's more familiar with this area, but just wanted to, I guess, wave a lightly colored yellow flag of that big jump in this particular rezoning.
Thank you. Councilmember Honeycutt and then Housley.
Thank you. Just two quick questions for planning. Obviously, this was recommended for approval by planning. Can you just speak briefly to why it was recommended for approval?
Yes, so this one was recommended for approval. We look at the surrounding zoning, the surrounding plan. What we found was there are no apparent errors or omissions. We found that it was compatible with the surrounding development and was an extension of the commercially zoned property that was already in the area there. And notice that, along Western Avenue, it primarily includes commercial developments with some vacant land, but no residential developments have occurred in the immediate vicinity.
Thank you. And then just to clarify on Councilwoman Parker's questions, my understanding is there are no, I appreciate the concern, but there are no current plans for, blasting or retaining walls or whatever. That has to be done later, and it's speculative at this point, what may or may not happen.
Correct. I'm not aware of any plans.
Right. So, and those plans will have to go before plant permitting and be evaluated at a later date.
Yes, they would go to permitting.
If they become real.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Housley.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm done. No, I didn't.
Okay. Councilmember Lloyd.
I took a look at this project yesterday, and after putting an eye on it, I agree with the Planning Commission. I did not see a problem with this, with the decision that they had put forth. Western Avenue has some issues. We have some steep ridges there. We have some retaining walls a little further to the west. But without plans, anything different than what I see right now, I find that I'm in agreement with the with planning. So I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we approve this as is.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve has been made and seconded. Councilmember Housley, do you have any, your light's still on? I don't.
I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Okay, the motion on the floor is to approve. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 8-0 with one abstention. Next item, please. Oh, that's it, okay. We have one person signed up for public forum, Mr. Rick Roach. Are you present? Rick Roach. I do not see him present, so without objection, this meeting is adjourned.